had a death in my family, and it's been interesting. So, give you a tiny little bit of backstory here. We'll do it like this. It was my grandmother. It was my mom's mom, and it was. I haven't talked to my grandma in like 19 years, 18 years, something like that. At the same time, I stopped talking to my mom. And, you know, because, like, I cut my mom out of my life, and my grandma kind of became collateral damage of that. Because my grandma vehemently came to my mom's defense. And 21-year-old me didn't like that. So I, cut her out too. Boom, done, out. And like I know that it hurt her, right? And that was early in my life. I didn't care. Later in my life, I was like, there's not much I can do. She lives out in Florida. Well, she lived in West Virginia, and then she lived in Florida. And like here at the end of her life, she had been living with my mom, and then it got to a point where my grandma needed round-the-clock care, like more than my mom could provide. Not as an issue of means, but as an issue of time. So my grandma was put into a home. My mom visited her pretty much every day. My grandma was having some, I don't know if it was actually Alzheimer's or just, what all was going on. I've been kind of removed from it. But yeah, like, she was at a point where she couldn't take care of herself and wasn't in full control of her mental faculties. But yeah, I guess what my mom had been doing more recently was playing a bunch of music from my grandma's, from her childhood and the stuff she's using. My grandma, when I was young, was a beautiful singer. And so I guess my mom had been playing a lot of that music for her. And so I guess on her last day, before she finally faded out, she was humming one of those songs, and then faded out. My mom was there with her. Yeah. And she passed on. And it's very divided for me, how I feel about it. Because on the one hand, in my childhood, my grandma and I had an amazing relationship. I lived with her for a little while. A big part of my musical foundation came from her. Like, my dad got me on metal and everything. My grandma got me into Broadway show tunes, world music, whole lot of, like, PBS special type stuff. Like, my grandma's mission was to give me an appreciation for what would be, I guess, cultured music, right? Like, she wanted me to be expanded beyond just rock and metal. And a lot of that still covers through today. Like, and my dad and I were talking about it a little while ago. And, especially in my lyrical process, like, a lot of that comes from those foundations that came from my grandma. Like, listen to so much Broadway show tunes and stuff like that. Like, the level of storytelling that needs to happen in the course of a song, that transferred over into my lyrical writing. And so, like, awesome stuff, good stuff. And so, like, I am sad about it. Like, it does affect me. I've not cried. I don't think I will cry. But it does sit heavy because you know, it's just, it's still a death event. It's still someone I was very close with as a kid. I think the plan right now is that my grandma wanted to be cremated. And I found all this out from my uncle. Like, my uncle called me and told me what was going on. And that would be my mom's brother. You know, so his mother died, and he is broken up. And of course, he's sitting there because he's that type of man. He's like apologizing for crying, and I'm like, dude, like, if there is ever a reason to cry, it's now. And y'all know me, like, you know, I believe in expression of emotions in men, and, like, you know, as a man, it's perfectly okay for him to cry and to grieve and to feel. And for me as a man, my job is to give him that space, you know, to give him that safe area where he can experience those emotions and he can live through them and know that, hey, dude, there's no shame here. This is nothing but love. Especially when I love the fuck out of my uncle. Like, my uncle's fucking awesome. But yeah, so, you know, the plan is they are going to cremate my grandma. Half the ashes will go to my mom, who will spread them on her property, because my grandma loved that place. That was part of her wishes. The other half of the ashes will be taken by my uncle and brought over here to Northern California, to this little spot called Jenner Beach out by Guerneville, where the Russian River hits, and spread out there, because that was one of my grandma's absolute favorite places. And definitely, as my uncle's telling me all this, he's like, hey, he's like, I know you and your grandma weren't on good terms. I know, like, because he has, I'm not gonna say he has the nitty-gritty detail, but he has the broad strokes, and he has enough of the context to kind of know where I'm at with it. But yeah, I am gonna go. One, because, you know, I do want to be able to say goodbye to my grandma. And then two, because I know my uncle's definitely gonna want that support. He's gonna want that. He's gonna need that extra love. And even if I'm kind of weirdly divided about it, he's not. That was his mom, and he had a good relationship with his mom up until the end. So yeah. And I think, like, and the thing for me, because I've told a couple other people, some other family members, and their reaction to it is their own business. It's not my place to share any positive or negative reactions about the family members. That's their own story to tell. But, you know, I told my dad, and kind of similar to my uncle, like, hey, like, I know you guys weren't great, but I'm really sorry for you. Hope you're doing okay. Same thing with one of my friends who I've known since forever. Like, you know, he's had to deal with similar stuff, and, like, as much as he and I aren't that close anymore, we're still, like, you know, we still care about each other like that. And so he's, you know, expressed his condolences as well. But the thing I've been thinking about this morning, because I found out yesterday afternoon and then went to a friend's birthday party and got really drunk, but fine. It was all good vibes there, but as I've been thinking about it this morning, it's been, I'm going to call it a practice run for things down the road. Because, you know, no secret here, especially now, like, I am estranged from my mother. And one of the things that always gets said to me by people who don't understand how you can be estranged from your mother is, you know, how you're going to feel if she dies and you never got the chance to reconcile. And I've always said I don't know. Because I truly don't know. Especially with the amount of just raw emotion. Like, there's so much going on there. That is a tsunami. That's a hurricane a fucking emotion there, right? Like that's I don't know how that's gonna go. But I feel like this kind of can help paint the picture a little bit. Because this is someone who I was estranged from just as long, exact same terms, who I had less raw emotion about, like less negative raw emotion, and more positive memories with. And so, I mean, if we were looking at it just from data points, theory suggests that it won't be as bad. But I don't know. But if more than anything, I think it gives me more data to really consider about it. Because I am pretty good at compartmentalizing. I am pretty good at being able to just kind of fucking move and groove and keep it going. Yeah, I don't know. And who knows? For all I know, here in a couple days, I could hit a new emotional fucking, cliff that I just fucking fall down. I don't know. I have no clue. But yeah. So I think, like, I don't know how else to sign this off necessarily. Like, I hope my grandma's in a better place, if such a thing exists. I hope that she feels like she had a life that was worth living. And I am glad that she wasn't alone when she passed. Because that even if there is no afterlife, like, it's better for, I think it's better for someone else to be there for you in your last moments, to care for you, to help ease you into the big sleep. I don't know. But yeah. I may have to listen to some Phantom of the Opera today in memory. I think that might be what we do later. I feel like this may be a wake-up call for some people. If you're estranged from people who are collateral damage, maybe if it's safe, maybe mend bridges. And I know that's rich coming from me, which is fine. It could be rich coming from me. Because, like, I don't know if I could have mended bridges with my grandma, because my mom was so closely tied to her. Like, she lived 15 minutes from the care facility and was there every day. I don't know. Yeah, my uncle said he's gonna, once he figures out his stuff, he's gonna let me know. He's had some health problems too. That he's on the other side of it, but sometimes the mend takes longer than the suffer. So he's getting through that. Yeah. Reach out to your loved ones. Make sure they're okay. If it's safe to mend bridges. Never at the expense of yourself or your soul. But sometimes reevaluation is necessary. That's all I got. Be safe.